You don't attract what you want, you attract what you believe you deserve. Welcome back. It's Therapy Thursday. I'm Dr. Triffy. I'm a psychologist in Atlanta, Georgia. I show up on Thursdays to do what? I show up to teach strategies to help us think better so we can feel better and we can do better. My intention is to use these strategies to give you opportunities to transform what might have felt traumatic in your life into passion, into purpose, into power. What am I talking about tonight? All right. If you've ever felt stuck, if you've ever felt unworthy, if you've ever felt like life keeps on passing you by, or you're like a puppy chasing your tail, you keep making the same mistakes, you're on a merry-go-round, this episode is your wake-up call. It's your wake-up call. Here's the title for tonight's episode. It is actually the title of my upcoming book called Manifesting Miracles, a psychologist's guide to rewiring your mind and reclaiming your worth. People talk about manifestation all the time these days. Yeah. Everywhere you look, you're going to be seeing a vision board. You're going to be hearing somebody talking about I'm manifesting. Yeah, I'm calling it into being. But manifestation is not magic. Manifestation is actually mental conditioning. It's it's all in the mind. It's all a mental game. Manifestation is mental. It's not just your vision boards. It's not just your I wish, I want. Oh, it's coming to me now. I can see it now. It is not just that. Okay? The truth is, your brain, my brain, our brains are wired to filter our reality through our beliefs. So our beliefs are like a strainer, a sieve for reality. Okay? I want you to note that I've got a baby. I got a new baby, a little baby puppy. And so sometimes you might hear her tonight. Her name is Bella Mia Wallace. Look, the acronym for that is what? BMW. Okay, that's how we're rolling over here. But yes, back to manifestation. The truth is, our brains are wired to filter our reality through our beliefs. If that's the case, can you imagine if our belief systems are rotten or distorted or not working well? If you believe you're great, you're good, you're worthy, you're deserving, you can do it, your mind is going to present opportunities that line up with that. You're going to be looking for opportunities to express yourself, to express your value in the world. But if you believe you're not good enough, you can't, and nobody loves me, I can't figure it out, this is too much, I've suffered too much, I just can't, your mind is going to get on a pattern, a little highway of ignoring opportunities, of not recognizing opportunities when they show up. Okay? So think of this example. Let's suppose you get a job. You've been praying for the job for a long time. You get the job. Your bad habits start to show up. You've been praying for the job for months, but now that it's here, you're showing up late. You're not meeting your deadlines. You're arguing with people on the job. For a lot of us, sometimes that's us. That's based on our belief systems. Some of us deep down believe we're not worthy of these beautiful things. So even if we earn them, we don't keep them. Our nervous systems are wired in such a way that it won't let us receive those beautiful things. If your self-worth is headed downward, what is self-worth? Hey, it's the value I place on myself. Okay? It's the value I place on myself. If I don't think I am worth much, my expectations are going to be lower. Okay? So our nervous system rejects whatever it does not think we deserve. Okay? So, of course, that's going to be frustrating for you because you've made attempts, you've dreamed, you've wished. Yeah? You're oming and you're doing your meditations, you're doing your affirmations. It's not just mindset, it is wiring. Like my puppy is wired to, for right now, seek my attention as she hears my voice. Yeah? But I want her to get used to me talking like this in front of her. So I'm using you tonight to allow her to become more comfortable with it. So our nervous systems are designed to keep us safe. So anything that feels threatening, uncomfortable, anxiety provoking, our brain is going to do its best to reject it, to save us from it, to protect us from it. If, say, you grew up in a situation of chaos, your family was chaotic, or you experienced betrayal early, or emotional neglect, or your body learned to associate stress with normal life, what's going to happen when something good and pleasing and calming shows up? It's not going to feel normal. It is not going to feel normal. So, if that healthy relationship shows up and you don't have much of a model for it, some of us reject it. Some of us fight. Some of us start chaos in the relationship so that we can go back to our state of normalcy because our bodies are wired to associate normal with chaos. That's what I mean when I say your brain is wired a particular way. If what comes to it is different than what it's been taught, is normal, it's going to do its best to protect you from it. So imagine your brain working against you in its mind, trying to protect you from something beautiful that you've been wishing for and dreaming about. So, again, that's why many of us sabotage good jobs, we sabotage good relationships, friendships, we push kind people away. When life gets too calm, we feel restless, as if something is off, as if we're waiting for the bad thing to happen that we're very familiar with. We're waiting for the shoe to drop. Okay? How do we heal? We're going to talk about that tonight because we can heal, and really, we have a task to heal. We have a responsibility to heal. Thankfully for us, that very brain that does its best to protect us, that brain is plastic. Not plastic like fake, but plastic like malleable, can be reshaped, can be reshaped. So there's a concept called neuroplasticity. That's the brain's ability to change, to adapt, to rewire itself. So what does that mean for me? What does that mean for you? If my brain is wired in a particular way and I become aware of that, I can do certain things to now bend my brain. I call it mind bending, yeah, to rewire my brain. Okay, that's our ability to reshape the connections in the brain. Those default paths we used to take that led us down particular tracks, that had us doing particular things, even if those things were not in our best interest, but those things felt normal because that's what we grew up with as normal. Yeah, we can shift all of that. And as an adult, it's our task, it's our responsibility to shift those things if we say we want particular results. So, who you think you are can change. Who you think you are is not, well, I was born this way and I'm going to die this way. It's not a biological thing, it's a mental construct. These are belief systems. These are belief systems. So we can change them. Okay? Think of an example. If this is you, uh, think of how we respond to stress. Primary ways we respond to stress: fight, flight, freeze, faint. Some of us fawn. Fawn is to do like a baby deer and just whatever you say, I'm going along with it to keep the peace. A lot of us learn that way of coping to keep the peace in our homes. Say you were the person who responded to stress typically by shutting down. Hmm? Like just a freeze response. I can't. I don't think I can. I'm just not going to do anything. I shut down. Your brain has built a shortcut for that. That's its shortcut for just saving you from the stress. If you start, however, doing something different than shutting down when stress shows up in your life, what's going to happen if you do that new thing long enough? Your brain is going to learn a new default so that instead of shutting down, perhaps you might engage your breath and breathe long, slow, deep breaths into your stomach. Mm? Perhaps you can start doing that. And over time, what happens? Your brain learns that, you know what, we eat stress for breakfast. Stress, what is that? Because now I know what to do. And I've done it so often now that it's become my go to. That's how you rewire your brain. That's how you start doing different things to the point where you start saying, I'm a new person, I'm a different person. What if the next time stress shows up, instead of fighting, instead of when you feel the anxiety rise in you and you want to curse, that's one of my stress responses. I get irritated, frustrated, and I want to say a bad word. But depending on where I am, I can't. I mean, if I'm in my house, I can. But depending on where I am or what I'm doing, I choose not to. I won't say I can't because you can do whatever you want, but I choose not to. Yeah? You can do something different. Yeah? In addition to breathing, maybe you go find your journal or find your phone and write out how you're feeling. Identify the emotion. What am I feeling right now? I call it naming the flame. Name the flame. Name the thing that is inflaming me in this moment. Name it. Yeah? What am I thinking about myself in this moment? That I'm not good enough, that I don't know what to do, that life is too much for me, or that people always take advantage of me, whatever it is. Listen to the narrative in my mind. I can do that. Yeah. And I can flip the script. Whatever script, yeah, I've become used to using, where perhaps I might look for how people are always trying to take advantage of me. Yeah. Perhaps I flip that and I find a different way to look at the situation. So I turn it around and I look at it from a different perspective. Yeah. What's going to happen over time? Me, the person whose first response used to be to curse, to fight, to jump, to scream, to yell, now I go do something different with my emotions. Now I go write my thoughts down. And in that writing, I mean, are you aware of all of the benefits of journaling? I organize my thoughts. I start looking and I start seeing patterns. I start seeing what some of my triggers are so that the next time I get to interrupt it before it even has an impact on me. So I take control. I assume my power. I do what I'm really supposed to do as an adult. And I take responsibility for myself, for my emotions, for my thoughts, and for what I choose to do with these emotions and these thoughts, or based on these emotions and based on my beliefs. So healing is really not about erasing the past. Can you erase the past? Can you? I was talking to a patient today about this. He was talking to me about how intensely stressed he becomes when he thinks about some of the nasty events that happened to him as a child. And I said, you know what? I get it. That makes a lot of sense to me. It does. It makes sense to me that you would feel helpless even now as you think about what your father did. It makes sense to me that you would be angry about it. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me that you would feel anxious about it and that you might want to even hurt yourself when you think about it because the feeling might inside of you, right? That flame might feel so intense that you might think you need to do something to release some of that pressure. I get it. I really get it. However, what happened to you has already happened to you, has it not? You cannot erase it. So, a part of our healing is really about now teaching our brain how to respond to our memory of these events in a different way, in a different way than we have done it for maybe most of our lives, in a different way than the child dealt with it, because that's all the child knew at that time. Now the adult has to decide, is the way that the child was responding to this trauma, is it still working for me now? Am I getting great results from it? Or is this also hurting me? Is it also causing chaos for me? And I mean, I have to assess it, don't I? I ought to assess it. Some of us, a lot of us don't assess it. So we end up staying on that merry-go-round much longer than we need to. But if I calm down, if I perhaps engage my breath, slow my breathing down, clear my head a little bit, yeah? And I choose to look at this from another perspective, and I go maybe do a task, like I said earlier, write it down, write my feelings down, just write it down. Maybe over time, these new sets of behaviors become my new go-to, my new default. This is how you heal. This is how you rewire your brain. And so that means that your patterns, that your old you, your old habits are not your destiny. Well, that's just who I am. No, that is how you might have behaved. That is what you might have done in the past up until this present moment. And from this present moment, I can decide to do a different thing. I can decide to do a new thing. Just because I've always struggled with relationships, just because I've always, in my mind, right? My belief system says, I've always procrastinated. I always wait till the last minute to do my studying. I can't study. All I can do is cram. I just wait till the last day. And that's just me. Yeah. Or the negative self-talk. Yeah. What does negative self-talk mean? Negative self-talk is, nobody's going to believe me. Nobody's going to think I can do it. Yes, I know I went to study for this, but who's going to trust me to do it? Who's going to pay me to do it? Yes, I created this beautiful thing. I'm an artist. You know, I make pretty things, but if I decide I'm going to sell them, who's going to buy? They won't buy from me. Yeah. These old patterns were typically built in response to some kind of event. It might have been a traumatic event. It might have been an event where you felt a lot of anxiety or fear, or somebody criticized you, somebody said something, and that thing, that negative thing they said, stuck with you. And you created a belief about yourself or about life or about other people that you've been rolling with and living with and deciding that that's who you are. It is not who you are, because your patterns are not your destiny. Why? Because you can rewire these patterns. You can reshape these patterns. You are not your patterns. You are the person who every day can wake up, who every new moment you can wake up and you can decide, I am choosing to be different. Every new moment you can say that if you want, but you just have to take the next step and do things. Do things. Choose behaviors that line up with you creating new patterns. And I just gave you a few, using your breath in a different way than this short, shallow breathing we do when we're very anxious. Like some of us can barely catch our breath. Some of us hyperventilate. Some of us, we can feel it and our heart rate starts increasing. Well, your heart rate is like a remote control for your brain. It signals your brain to threat. It signals your brain that something is off and that it needs to protect you. Now, what did we say were those responses to threat? Fight, flight, freeze, faint, fawn. What might happen? What do you think might happen if you changed now the way that you were breathing so that your heart rate might slow down, decrease? What do you think your brain will interpret if your heart rate decreases? It's going to say, well, there's nothing to be afraid of, nothing to worry about. There's nothing to see here. And those of us who become good at that skill, it's a skill, therefore it's learnable. It's not a personality trait to say, well, that's who I am. No, it's a behavior you've been doing. Those of us who learn to do these skills, to slow our breathing down so that our brain chills out, it mellows out, and it stops interpreting situations as threatening. Some of us become so good at it once we put in the time that even when the most terrifying situations are happening, we can maintain what's called a non-anxious presence. A non-anxious presence. Even though a tornado of drama is spinning around you, once you learn how to do this, you can withstand a lot of the stuff that life throws at us. So the miracle then is not outside of you. The miracle is inside of you. But you've got to participate. If you say, well, I'm just going to wish for the miracle, it's going to come, and you're not willing to do anything to create the miracle, it might never come, because we do have to participate. We have to participate. What is that proverb or that saying? If wishes were horses, beggars would ride. A lot of us, we just wish. We just wish, and we think we should manifest the thing we're just wishing for. But we're wishing on old belief systems that are not working. We're wishing using old patterns that actually might be hurting us. So while we're there wishing and saying our beautiful affirmations, we're holding sometimes these very dark, negative beliefs about ourselves. Like, I'm not really worthy of this. But still, I'm just wishing, I'm just wishing, I'm just wishing. It's incompatible. So you might need to go a little deeper and reset the belief. Reset it. Create a new belief. Repeat, 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 repeat. It is said that when you're doing this repetition, you've got to do it with high energy and positivity. So you use positive language. Any negative words in your new belief that you're creating, that you're repeating, you got to eliminate. So instead of saying, I will never do this again, you just state it in the positive. I choose to do XYZ. I am doing this more and more. I am this. As opposed to, I don't want to ever. Eliminate the don't. Eliminate the nevers. and just reframe the sentence or the new decision using positive words. High energy, repetition, 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 repeat, repeat, repeat. Okay? So we talk about belief systems. Two of the big categories of belief systems we have are locked into our capability. How good am I, or how competent am I? Can I really do something? Yeah? So a lot of us, we might roll under the umbrella of beliefs that says, I am not capable. I just cannot do it. I am not smart enough. And that comes from scripting and people telling us we're not smart enough. It might have come from us trying but failing at things, and we've developed this belief. The other set of beliefs is about our worth. How valuable am I that people would love me? Am I lovable? If you're the child whose parent died early and you didn't even have an opportunity to feel attached, even if your parent died and they didn't leave you, as in, of their own accord, you might have somehow picked up the belief that I'm not lovable. Why did they leave me if I was lovable? They ought to have stayed. If your parent actually does leave you, your parents separate, the divorce, or you just never grew up with one of your parents, you might think, well, if I was lovable enough, that parent would have stayed with me. No, we think that we put these thoughts on the side. Yeah, I put these thoughts on the side. I'm fine. I don't think about that. I don't think about that much. Well, you might not think about that much with your conscious mind, but if you've lived through any experience, where do you think it went? I'll tell you where it went. Imagine it went into a file cabinet. And that file cabinet is called your subconscious mind. It is there. Think of your subconscious mind also like the child's mind. So you, the child grows up, becomes an adult. The adult, you're thinking about adult things. You think, well, I don't think about it every day, so it must have disappeared. Except for when you get that new job, but you start showing up late because somehow you believe you're not worthy of a job that pays you this much. And when you start digging, when you start doing the work, tracking it back, you realize, hey, this is where I developed that belief for this reason. A beautiful thing about that idea of being worthy versus competent. So competent is about skills. You can always learn new skills, can you not? When it comes to worth, I need you to hear something, and please just hold on to it, even if you don't believe it yet. When it comes to worth, worth is not earned. Like skills are earned. You can do something one time, 10 times, 100 times, and you can become really proficient at it. But the idea about your value as a human being and your lovability, that is innate. You come to the earth lovable. Because you exist, you're lovable. You don't have to earn that. Granted, people around you might not have demonstrated that to you, or they might have actually said the opposite. They might have said things like, I wish I had aborted you. There are parents who actually say that to their kids. I don't love you. And they demonstrate it to us. Yeah. But those are these scripts that other people put on us. Just because they said it doesn't mean it's true. Every soul, every human being who comes into this realm comes in, and it's really just a matter of you remembering that and accepting that as the reality. It's the truth. I am valuable and I am worthy of love because I exist. Because I am here, I'm worthy of love. I don't have to earn it. I don't have to earn it. I am worthy of it because I exist. From the moment you're born, you are inherently worthy of love. As I said earlier, life, however, and our experiences and the people sometimes we have the fortune or misfortune to be born to or to live with, they can say things, they can do things that put a programming, put a script on us, put some kind of template on us to make us think we are not. But that's not true. That is never true. Okay? That is as a result of conditioning, not essence. It's as a result of conditioning, not essence. And so if you came to believe that you have to do something in order for somebody to love you, that's a mistake. That's a mistake. If you came to believe that you have to do something for somebody to think you're valuable enough, that's a mistake. Those of us who are walking around and, well, they said they need money from me, and if I can't produce money, they don't love me. Was that love? No. So you don't have to prove your love with money. You're lovable. You're worthy of love. You might just be mismatched. A lot of us are out there hustling for approval because we've been taught, yeah, that if you do your work, you get an A, you get a check mark. If you do good. And those of us poorers who probably had dyslexia, who couldn't read, couldn't see the board because our parents didn't buy us glasses because they didn't think we had vision problems. We probably heard the worst things about us from our teachers in school. So here we are performing. We're like zoo animals performing, thinking we have to perform for other people to think we're worthy. No. Once you get that, once you get that you were worthy before you became wounded and people put these templates and scripts on you, your life changes, Is you change your life. You stop shrinking yourself to fit. Those of you who had to live with other people and you were in their homes and you couldn't really put your feet up because you were at somebody else's house, and they always made you realize you were at their house. Mm-hmm. So you were there with them, but you weren't really a part of them. You didn't feel it. You learned to be quiet in your house because children don't speak in front of adults. And if you spoke, you got wailed on. If your father, your mother was an addict or an alcoholic, or they had a mental health diagnosis that might have been diagnosed at the time or not, and you weren't sure who you were going to meet when you got home, perhaps you've learned to shrink yourself, to fit in, to fit so that you wouldn't rock the boat. You wouldn't say something to trigger them. You might still be walking around life doing that. The truth is, you were worthy before those situations happened to you. You've got to see that, and you got to remember that. You got to remind yourself of that. We forget, again, through childhood conditioning. They teach us love is earned through behavior. Be a good girl. You're a bad kid. You're bad. You're a bad child. Because you didn't listen. You just had the child's brain. That's all. Society tells us your value is tied to how much money you make, how productive you are. Trauma whispers loud. Trauma can whisper loud. You're broken. You're damaged goods. You've been ran through. You've been ran through. You're not good. You're not enough. You're too skinny. You're too fat. You're too this. You're too that. Yeah? Our task is to remember that you are innately valuable. If not, you're going to spend years upon years upon years trying to earn something that really it was never lost. It was never lost. And that if you find yourself dealing with people who make you think you've got to earn it, they're not your people. You will never earn it from these people. These people who have these expectations of you, you will lose the weight, you will make the money, they still won't value you. They still won't, because it's not about that. So healing is not about becoming somebody new. It's about also remembering who you are already. Remembering who you are already. It might entail learning new skills and doing new things, but that is separate from who you are. You've got to do both. You have to understand both, or else you'll keep chasing it. Okay? So, how do you do that? How do you remember who you are? How do you remember? Spend time with yourself. That's my baby. That's my baby. Install new beliefs. Hi, Bella. Your mama's coming. Install new beliefs. Okay? Repeat, repeat, repeat. Visualize. See it. Practice feeling it in your body, because your body's got to feel it. Okay? Your body has to feel it. So that comes with practice. Okay? What you want to do is not abandon yourself. Stop abandoning yourself. Stop leaving yourself stranded and following everybody else's reason. Like Bella, you have every right to be here. Okay? You have every right to be here. And so because Bella is reminding me of my worth and your worth, I'm going to go take Bella out. I'm going to go take Bella out so that she can feel better. And I see my son coming to do that. And I appreciate him so much coming out to take care of Bella and play with Bella. But yeah, so Bella, by nature, she is worthy of our love and our affection and our attention. Yes? And we will teach her new skills as she grows, but she's inherently worthy. That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay? Pause. Stop trying so hard to win other people's approval. Stop trying so hard. Okay? If you're not getting it from them, they might not be your person. You might not be compatible. And that is information for you that that is not your person. And that might hurt, might be disappointing. But it's better you know it. It's better you know it so you can redirect your beautiful essence elsewhere where it's appreciated. So this is my offering for you tonight. This is the book I'm working on. I'll be using case studies, some of my experiences, research, and I want you to follow me. Let me know if you want to be on the list. You can get your book pre-ordered. Bella, your mama's coming. Happy Thursday, Bella. Your mama's coming. Okay? I will see you all next Thursday as I go love up on my baby. Peace. Hi, Bella.